Hmm. I don't know, actually. I don't. I think it's becoming harder for startups because investors are becoming a whole lot more picky about where they invest and what they invest in, and we're live, so I'm going to leave that there, and
Yeah,
I'm going to
awesome,
leave you in the hands of Caleb before I divulge too much.
awesome. So we just went with what's it called? I think they call it like the warm intro or something. Like when you roll in from a conversation into an event. So it's not like, hey guys, we're starting now. But the question we were just asking was, is it harder to raise as a VC or a startup? Which is a question that we can come back to after we get into the session. So welcome everyone. Super excited for this pitch deck, this pitching 101 workshop. It's going to be really fun. Like I'm pumped for this session because we're going to be able to hear from four incredible founders firsthand, and we'll be able to give them feedback live. So you'll have me, Lisa, and Junaid here, who will all be giving feedback on these pitch decks. It's going to be a great event. The way that we'll structure it is I'll hand over to Junaid and to Lisa to do some quick intros. We're going to jam and just talk a bit about like what we've seen in the past with pitches, both pitch decks and pitches that we've seen live before, and what we think makes a good pitch and what helps founders stand out. And then, yeah, after a bit of talking about that, we're going to dive into seeing these four founders and their pitches live. So it's going to be a fun, interactive session. What I'd really love from everyone as we kick off is for everyone here to say like where they're calling from. So, say hi from where you're calling from. And then maybe if you're a startup founder, like share the name of the thing you're building or share why you're interested in the session. So if you can do that in the comments, that would be great. And I might hand over to Lisa, the commercial director at Raise. Do you want to share a few words on your background, how you ended up here, and yeah, why you're excited for the session?
Awesome. So thank you. And Caleb, you and I have done this on a couple of occasions, and it's always fun. I always find that I walk away from these sessions not only like learning something from you and our participants, but actually just having a ball. Because we don't take ourselves too seriously. We take what we do seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And that's always the fun part about this. Caleb just said that I am the commercial director at Raise. I'm also a former founder myself, so I've started 4 businesses, been in the trenches myself, and have worn many hats in this craziness that this asylum that we call startup world, and it's been an interesting journey for me to get to this point where I've taken investment from various investors, from grant to angel and across the board, had to pitch to different audiences for different reasons, and now sitting, being able to give feedback to other founders and maybe make the pain of pitching and the lessons a little bit clearer, and their journey to success maybe a little bit faster than mine was. So if I can help by putting some stepping stones in place for other founders, maybe not to pay the amount of school fees that I did for my lessons, then I will have maybe said that this was a success for us. So that's what I'd like to do out of today's session, is maybe just give some stepping stones to other founders so that, they don't have as much PTSD as I do after my startup journey.
I was going to say, I really like the analogy of paying fees for lessons, but I like the PTSD one too. I feel like they're both relevant.
You feel that, right?
100%. It's it's hectic out here, but that's really cool. And it's awesome to have, I don't know, I think someone with like that much experience in so many different companies, giving feedback, but also like actively in a company as well, like Raise, helping like guide startups. So always a pleasure, Lisa. Junaid, super keen to have you here, Junaid. I'll let you do a quick intro.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Caleb. Thanks, Lisa. I'm excited to be part of this. I'm Junaid. I'm South African, live in Cape Town. I'm actually a 5 times fund manager, Launch Africa. I'm the founder of Launch Africa Ventures, as well as 535 Ventures. but I've had 3 funds before that. I'm giving my age away, but I've been doing fund management since 20 years now. My first fund was launched in 2004. I have invested in over 250 companies over those funds. I have returned DPI back to investors in all of in 3 of my previous funds. And you get to learn how the African continent works, because all of them were Pan-African. But you also get to know that you have to hold hands with your founders from day one, because Africa is a unique landscape, right? And there's a lot of education that's needed. That's why events like this is great, because it gives us time to impart what we see from the other side to founders trying to raise capital. I was telling Lisa and Caleb that at Launch Africa, we reviewed 3,750 proposals last year, and we invested into 60 of those. So the ability to stand out and the ability to tell your story, not only in numbers, but the numbers must tell a story. The ability to explain your journey through your pipeline, and this idea that your deck needs to spark interest is, hopefully I can share some ideas with the 4 founders today around how to provide more sparkle to their pitches.
I don't know if you're watching the comments, but Brenton called you an OG.
Oh, geez.
And a legend in the space.
An old
a lot of praises. Yeah. And it's I think it's awesome. I know you touched on it briefly, Junaid, but like you're also at Launch Africa, right? Which is one of Africa's most active VC, and is just like a serious ecosystem builder as well. And I think like just me from the outside, I've really appreciated the approach you've had to just funding startups and really helping them get off the ground and partnering with them. Did you want to share like maybe a bit more about the approach at Launch Africa and sort of how you think about startups there? And I think this is a nice segue. Actually, maybe just before this, I'll intro myself. I realize I haven't done that. And then I want to segue from this into like some of your perspectives, Lisa and Junaid, about like how you think about these startups and what helps them stand out. But yeah, my background, I'm Caleb. I write a newsletter called Tech Safari, which is really just like covering tech in Africa and like what's happening. And I try to keep it kind of real in there, talk about lessons for founders, things we've learned about the continent. I actually have like an article coming out tomorrow on YC, and I'm really curious to see how it's received. Some people won't be happy about it, but I think it'll be an important one. And I've been on both sides. I've actually started a company called Entry Level, which is an ed tech that's grown to a team of 25 from the 2 of us, raised $2 million, or more than that now, actually. And I also have a small fund. So I have a small fund that invests 20K checks into early stage startups called Proximity Ventures. So I have this like really unique experience where I kind of have both at the earlier stage. And it's cool that we have Lisa here, who's like very deep in the started companies side, and Junaid here, who's had that on like the VC side. Sorry, Junaid, I keep messing it up because of the reference before. And so, yeah, I think like that sort of balance is really cool, which is why I'm super excited for this session. But Junaid, did you want to talk a bit more about Launch Africa, the thesis there, and sort of like how you think about funding startups in Africa, where the ecosystem is, and then we can dive into what helps a company stand out.
Yeah, well, perfect. So when we started thinking about Launch Africa in 2019, we launched it in 2020. A lot of companies were coming out of accelerator programs, and they were trying to raise a Series A too fast, right? They just didn't have the business fundamentals. And we quickly realized that company needed 12 to 18 months at the seed stage. But companies back then, investors were taking 6 to 9 months to make an investment decisions. So we wanted to get capital quickly to seed stage companies. We worked with the accelerators to understand their DDs, so we didn't have to do a double DD on these companies. And we also just decided to do safe notes or convertibles because there's not a lot of deal negotiation on terms. So we shortened our time frame of making those decisions to 4 to 6 weeks from when we first meet you to when pay away happens. But that's not enough. You have to add value. And so what we did is through our investors, we said to our investors, you can come in at the same terms as the fund. And so whereas we has deployed 36 million in our first fund, our investors came in with an additional 17 million alongside the fund. So we could access capital quickly, open networks, so that seed stage companies can close these rounds. Now, that wasn't enough. Now we also had to open corporate enterprise customers to them and new markets. And I think those three things, quick decision-making, get capital quickly, then we help you close your round, and then we help you get customers, is I think the three pillars of Launch Africa.
That's awesome. So cool. And I think that like quick decision making is something we don't have too much of on the continent. So good that it's there. Guys, let's start with the 101. Like, why is a pitch important? Why do we need pitches? Why do people need to send these pitch decks? And why do they need to pitch to you and sort of present themselves? Like, tell us a bit about the use of that.
So I think Peter Drucker said a business needs to fulfill two responsibilities: is to solve a problem and tell people about it. And so often, founders go after the solve a problem, but they don't tell people about it, and they don't tell people about it effectively either. And that's where the pitch is one of those very key tools, so that the keys to unlocking doors is the telling people about it. And that pitch is your key weapon. And I almost want to quote Monty Python there. We have 3 key weapons, right? And this is one of those key weapons in your arsenal of telling people about the problem that you're solving. And it becomes like that loudspeaker that you use to broadcast your message to those that you need to hear it. And so your pitch is so important, and having it in various formats, having it in various styles, being able to be the loudspeaker to hail those that identify with the problem that you're solving. I think that's what it is for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love the Peter Drucker comment. I'm going to use it. So I always say to founders is the pitch is not a PowerPoint presentation, a deck. The pitch is you and your story. The pitch is your story, right? And so the pitch lives on many platforms. Your PowerPoint is one, but you as the founder, you are the biggest pitch. So I always say you have to have a 1 minute, a 2 minute, and a 5 minute pitch ready at a drop of a hat. Most of my best pitches are in elevators, where I know I've got 35 seconds to the next floor. I can pitch Launch Africa or 535 on the drop like that. This is the problem. This is how I'm best to solve it. And this is my ask, right? So you are the pitch. Whether you go to the gym, the shopping center, you are always pitching. Founders, fund managers, we are salespeople. We are always selling. You as a founder, you're always pitching. Now, you need to prepare, right? Right at the beginning, when I started this journey, I used to stand in front of the mirror and practice my 1 minute pitch. Ask your friends, ask people on this audience, but you have to practice. It's like an actor. Actors go through their roles thousands of times for that 30-second take. Be prepared. The next thing is, don't waste people's time, right? People's time is their most valuable resource. So do a little bit of homework, right? So I was telling Caleb and Lisa, when you contact Launch Africa, make sure that there's value to Launch Africa. You can't just take, you also have to give. So look at our portfolio. Go to our portfolio and say, could my company potentially work with one of your portfolio companies, or I can add value to that? When we pitch our fund, we always do our research as to who are we talking to as an investor. Go to their LinkedIn, we go to their company website. I would look at who are they married to. I would go through all their photos. It takes time, but people appreciate the little effort that you've done, right?
Absolutely. I will agree with.
Yeah, sorry, Lisa.
No, I would absolutely agree with the stalking. You must do the stalking. It has to get done. And from our experience, I started a company in solar, and we pitched on Shark Tank, the only season of Shark Tank in South Africa that was ever produced and aired. And we literally went in there with sharks in front of us and ignored 4 of them. We pitched to one person, knowing exactly what their sweet spot was, and landed investment off of that. Going in there, you might know him, Vinnie Lingham. So pitch directly to him, knowing exactly that this was the person that we wanted to land as an investor, because we'd done the research, because we'd gone and done all the stalking to find out who are the people in the room that we know how to speak to and what message to broadcast. Exactly that.
Let me just add to that as well. Like, I think when some people hear that, like, oh, what? That's like a lot of effort just to pitch someone, like just to potentially get some money from them. But I think some of the context for that is like when an investor invests in your company, they're in for a very long time, and it's going to be very hard to get them out, right? If you want to get them out, ideally you never do. So you want to know that it's a fit also for you too. So I think like that time just to get to know investors is super, super important.
Yeah, exactly.
Janae,
you're getting into bed with this person. You got to know you're getting married to this person.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. The next thing I would say is that, investors aren't the smartest people on earth. So every investor is going to ask you the same questions. And I always say to founders, why don't you just have your FAQs, your frequently asked questions, right? So you have your 10-slide deck, but you also have your prepared FAQs, so at Launch Africa 535, we have all of our decks, which is called a PPM, but we also have a FAQ. So we send that up front to say that we know our deck can't answer, but here are smart, clever answers to the questions that you might ask. And there's an opportunity for you to curate it in a memorable way, right? And those are often the companies that stand out, that as I'm asking those questions about this business model and does this market really have that much participants, the FAQs could answer a lot of that for me. So think about, how do you make the life of an investor easier by being interesting? That's the point that I make.
Awesome. So good. I think from here we should move on to some of these pitches, because I think the real guts of this will be in hearing these pitches and then hearing how we all respond to them. So just for a bit of context, or like a bit of rundown on how this will go, from here we'll have 10 minutes with each participant. So they'll pitch us for 3 minutes. The other 6 minutes we'll all sort of give feedback and give our thoughts on the pitch. And if you have thoughts as well as the audience, like write them in, and I'll read out some of the relevant ones as well that maybe we haven't covered on that pitch deck. And then at the end, we'll have about 10 minutes just to talk about like some of the learnings and sort of reflect together about what worked, what the best pitches had, what some of the pitches like lacked, and what we learned from that. Let's get started. Yeah, Lisa? You're gonna...
I know, I'm super excited. Like, I can't wait. I'm itching in my seat to see these pitches.
Same here. Same. Akfed. Okay, cool. Hey, man.
Right. So there's a timer. How long are these guys on for, Caleb?
They're on for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Akfed, you ready to go? Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I thought it was... Okay, Abby. So, Ozzy, Leroy's supposed to go first. Can we get him on?
Yeah, we're going to get Leroy on first.
All right, here we go. That was funny. Welcome, Leroy.
Hi, Caleb.
Are you ready to go, man?
Yeah, let's give it a try.
Okay, let's do this.
Right.
The time starts now.
Okay.
Oh, Ozzy will need his slides.
Please tell me if you can see the slides.
Okay, yes, we've got them. They're about to come up now.
Yeah.
Sorted.
Close to 1 billion people do not have access to clean energy and clean water. And 2/3 of these are in sub-Saharan Africa. But this is a story that you've read a couple of times. But if you're in Africa, you experience this pretty much every day. So I'd love to take you through down memory lane. I grew up in rural Zimbabwe and moved to the city when I was just 14 years old. For me, it was my first time experiencing electricity or seeing a light bulb. I was quite excited to go to the city because I get the opportunity to experience all this. But that excitement was met with great disappointment as I got to a city that was experiencing 8-hour power cuts during the most critical times of the day. I'm 31 years old today. You would think the situation got better. Well, I have news for you. On average, Zimbabwe is experiencing 16-hour power cuts per day. And the story is not any way better for our friends down in South Africa. Lisa and Janet can tell you about that. This has created a huge demand for clean energy and power. And it is predicted that 70% of this demand will be met by the great energy transition through the deployment of microgrids, since this demand is coming from places with limited and stable connectivity to the grid. But the problem is, how do you turn these small power plants into mini micro utilities? Because ESCOM took 50 years to do it, but how do they do it in 2 weeks? Hi, my name is Leroy Tinyangani. I'm the co-founder and the team lead at Neat Energy. And our job is to turn these smaller power plants into micro utilities by building the missing platform for trading renewable and clean energy where it's most needed. The platform works by allowing the microgrid operators to sell power through smart meters that are connected to commercial and industrial clients and housing parks. And we connect them to the distribution grid so that if there's any excess power, that could be shared and that could be used by other people that are in dire need of power. Neat Energy has developed a digital platform that is transforming complex to understand issues related with smart metering, weather, generation, and load demand into easy to follow actionable insights. We are bringing the possibility of virtual power plants, monitoring, accounting into one single to use platform, and that is how we stand out in the market. Our business model is SaaS-based, but today that in Africa is not an edge. Over our 6 years of experience, we understand how to make money from trading energy, and we make margins from the energy that we trade on our platform. And we have found a unique solution on how we can scale. We deploy these smart meters that allow us to trade at no upfront cost, and we charge standing charges month on month.
Leroy, 30 seconds.
Yes, so this is a huge market, and the future of 2050, where renewables would lead the way. Africa is an opportunity to lead that, because Africa is a place where time machines actually work. We led the world with mobile money, and the future of 2050, where renewables lead the world, is currently happening in Africa right now. And we have scaled 250. We have a waiting list of 150 microgrids, 200 smart meters, and a waiting list of 3,000 smart meters. And we're a great team that has great engineering experience and business development across any International Energy Agency, PEN, and Imperial. And we'd like you to join our journey as we intend to unlock access to over 200 million people by 2035, because we is greater than I.
Nice.
Well done.
Nice, Leroy. That was great. It's very good.
Very nice. Well, stealing that. We is greater than I. That's stunning.
I like that.
Yeah. What a lovely wrap up.
Nice. Cool. So maybe I'll kick off because I have some feedback, some of my thoughts on what I think worked there and what I have questions about. But I want to preface it with I don't understand this issue too well. As I think it's something that Lisa, Junaid, you guys would understand better than I do. So I want your thoughts on the actual issue. But just generally, I think that the storyline's great. I like that it's personal. I think you described the opportunity really well. The opportunity to sort of disrupt the sector and create these sort of micro distributors. I think perhaps assuming that your investors understand what you're talking about, unless you're just going for investors who have experienced that or know that issue, I think is a bit of a reach, right? So I didn't really know what you're talking about for a bunch of it. And it speaks to like, investors not actually knowing too much and needing to learn. But maybe there's part of that which could be more hand-holding around like what the product actually does and like how that supports people. I think that when you talked about, I think like understanding the unit economics as well of like what it means to have one of these micro, like sort of, what are they, like these micro utilities and how much money that makes, what that time horizon looks like would be really interesting. And finally, I think that like the design was beautiful. I was really impressed. Like I really like the design, and design's a small thing, but it's also a big thing. I think it shows how you think about, like how you think about building something. And if there's like good design and like a good product, it's a really great combination. So I thought that was awesome.
Lisa?
Who's next?
Junaid, what did you think?
Yeah, I like the presentation as well. I like the personal start. I was a little confused as to what the product actually is. Is this microgrids or is this just this trading platform? And I think you should say that right up front. What we do is X, right? And then you can go into this, because for like 30 seconds, I was like, okay, well, microgrids is a whole other business. Then you went to the trading platform. I was like, okay, now I can relate, right? I think up front, any African startup that wants to work in any sort of government services, utility business, you have to preface that, especially with VCs, to say, listen, we are not engaging with government. We are the trading platform that can actually aid them. And then very quickly turn to, this is how we're going to get our revenue, blah, blah, blah. We know how difficult it is to work with any African government. So I would bring that right up front so that people can just calm down. Because I was like, oh, who's paying for this? Is it the government? Is it the microgrid? Like who's the actual customer? And if the customer is me, then how are you securing the power at the government level, at the utility level, right? So you almost have to walk them through a little value chain and where you play and where you have your influence. Any startup that works with government, you just have to do a little bit more. Yeah, sorry, Lisa, you go. I just lost a train of thought.
Okay, we'll jump back to you when that thought comes back. Love the story and the framing of the story and how you brought it back to being personal, because then I can stand in your shoes and I can empathize with your position, even if I'm not in your position. So that personal story, really brings it back. I love the framing of that. Very inspirational. I'm glad you showed us the team and the depth that you've got in that. That's great within that. And like the guys have said, packaging matters, right? There's a reason that we pick up things that are in nice packages. So the packaging of what you did really matters. Don't underestimate that. Anyone else who's thinking about that, you're getting into the technical stuff and you're forgetting about the packaging. It does matter within that. One of the comments on the side there was one of my questions. What's the ask, right? I think we missed that. Like, what's the actual ask? Is where are you going with this? What are you asking for? And what are you going to use it for? How are you going to grow? How are you going to scale? And what are you going to take money to go and do? What I loved is that you've got what we call it, raise an MTP, or a massive transformational purpose. And you had a scoreboard to say, right, we're going to do this by then, which means that I can come in as an investor and I can measure you this against that. Which is nice. So you've got that scoreboard right up there. The one thing I would have loved to seen is like, what's the traction? So one of the things that we did when I started Future Proof was we teach entrepreneurship education to kids. Is to prove the traction, I would bring the kids in front of the investors and make the kids do their pitch, because the proof is in the actual traction that you've got. So let me see some of the traction that you've got. Let me see some of the social proof that you've generated out of this business, so that I can see that there are actual customers that are using this and they're loving it. already. So those were some of my suggestions on that. But Leroy, the packaging was fantastic. The story was great. The framing of it was beautiful. And that MTP that you had up there as a scoreboard just hooked me immediately. So thanks.
Yeah. I want to make
So
one final
good.
comment.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You started off saying, you know, your audience, Junaid and Lisa understands this. I would have then did one slide of the problem and then to Lisa's point, automatically jump. So again, it's doing a little bit of homework, which you did, but then to customize to the audience that you speak to, right? Because we know the problem, but give us the solution, give us your traction, why you are the right person then. So with every person that you speak to, you have your package, but sometimes you have to customize on the spot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Leroy, virtual high five.
Yeah, we've got to head to the next one, but I just want to put, like, there's some really great feedback. I'm not sure if you can see it, Leroy, but check out the comments after. But Simunza, who runs Bongo Hive in Zambia, awesome investor. So he was saying the feedback on the first pitch is an example of the gaps in information that exist between first world investors and African problems. Unfortunately, sometimes even South Africa doesn't get it, and that's a very relevant statement. I think we can't assume that people understand our context. Let's go to the next one. So Akpen. Hey, welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
Shall we dive into it? Are you able to share your screen?
Sure. So let me bring that up. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Maybe. There we go, coming up.
Awesome. Cool. Akpan, take it away. Your time starts now.
Okay. All right. So over 67% of the 36 million MSMEs in Nigeria are currently struggling to access the 503 million smartphone subscribers in sub-Saharan Africa. And it will interest you to know that they all operate in the e-commerce industry that will be valued at $14 billion by 2027. Now, e-commerce is still the easiest way for merchants to buy and sell on the continent. But one of the major challenges using e-commerce platforms is that e-commerce only works for merchants who can afford to stay active on social media. And what this means is that they can't make more sales when their social media marketing activities are inconsistent. And when these activities are inconsistent, there's no room for business growth. Imagine I told you there was an AI-powered platform that was easily accessible to all 36 million MSMEs across Nigeria alone, but with a core focus of enabling business growth. My name is Akpan Victor, and I am the co-founder of gifty.com.ng. We make it easy for merchants to easily increase their sales orders on e-commerce platforms. We have facilitated over $25,000 in monthly sales orders for merchants across the 3 major cities in Nigeria. To stay ahead of competitors, we have been able to achieve 3 major milestones with this product. First, we have introduced the best use case for merchants to finally adopt AI technology in their business. We save every merchant about $18 in monthly data subscription for monthly sales generation. And it's interesting to know that all these happen directly on their smartphones. Now let's use the product. Alice runs a small business on social media, and she wants to receive orders directly on her WhatsApp. So she simply visits gifty.com.ng, creates her e-commerce website in less than 5 minutes, and instantly she can start receiving orders from customers who are ready to buy from her now. Alice wants to invest in marketing without having any prior marketing experience at all. She simply prompts the AI assistant on her dashboard to generate custom growth marketing ideas she can leverage to increase visibility and sales in her business. Now, Alice believes she can expand her business into new markets. So she prompts the AI, she finds funding opportunities and prompts the AI assistant on her dashboard again to generate an industry standard business plan, her pitch script, and the best responses she can use to apply for these funding opportunities. And just like Alice, we have been able to facilitate growth for over 400 businesses across Nigeria, and we are hitting 25,000 businesses by Q2 of 2024. We generate revenue from $2 monthly subscription, 0.5% sales commission, and vendor store promotion. Imagine 500,000 businesses paying us $2 per month. That's $1 million in monthly recurring revenue. Do you remember Alice? We want to help her understand how her business can thrive in the digital economy and offer her various embedded financial products in the future, like microloans, business automated savings, bills payments, and business expansion advisory. In our quest to build an ecosystem of growth services for merchants across Africa, we have been selected to represent Nigeria at GITEX Global Dubai, the largest tech and startup show in the world.
30 seconds left.
I work with experienced... What did you say?
Carry on.
Okay, I work with experienced disruptors in this industry. I am a certified Tony Elmelo Foundation entrepreneurship coach for African entrepreneurs. I have built the right growth frameworks, strategies, and tools that merchants are currently using to grow their businesses in Africa. Itopaking Energestin is an experienced AI engineer. He knows what it takes to build generative AI systems for MSMEs to increase their daily sales orders from 100 orders a day to 1,000 orders an hour. And Francisca David leads our revenue operations, ensuring that we eventually hit our $1 million monthly recurring revenue targets. And we are backed by a renowned leading startup advisor in Africa. These are our current needs, but I want to let you know something, that Africa is becoming the biggest market for MSMEs to thrive in. And in order for us to harness this new economic growth, we believe the timing is perfect for us to disrupt the e-commerce industry with emerging and cutting-edge technologies. So join us as we usher in limitless growth possibilities for merchants within Africa. Thank you.
Nice.
Awesome. That's one. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I think there was a bit of lag, so I cut you off a little. But yeah, I was just saying there was 30 seconds left. Good job with the timing. Lisa, maybe you can start this time with some feedback.
Okay. Again, well done. Very clear, very concise. You've done this before, obviously. So you've got this. You've got a nice flow to the way you go through it. The Alice persona that you bring to it, I love that. I absolutely love that. I don't know if you were in our value prop session that we did recently, where we talk about like the customer persona. You weren't there because you just nailed it. At Raise, our customer persona is Bella. She has a name. You know, we talk about Bella in the organization. It's like it's coded into who we are at Raise. And I just identified with that immediately because you talked about Alice, you talked about the problems that she was facing, you talked about how she, you know, you were solving for Alice's problems. So every time you spoke about Alice, I was like, oh, I get that. I really, really get that. So lovely on that. And I love the way that you showed the 3 different revenue streams into the business and how you speak to that. You spoke specifically to being a B2B business, which is amazing. So you knowing who your customer is, and then how you're generating revenue across those. So really, really cool. The one thing that I wanted and I was like itching for was show me how it works, right? Show me what it does. Okay. Like all I wanted in that was a little recording of just a little video or a GIF or something that just right. So in that pitch, I was just like, oh, show me how it works. I want to see. And I think that just that little insight for me would have done the hook. And great for the ask at the end of it. Nice to see what you're asking for and where it's going to go. So that was my feedback on that. Janae?
Yeah, great presentation, Victor. I think you nailed it for a 3-minute presentation. You covered it. You gave us enough. The Alice persona really draws you in. I love the link at the top that you had, which was the demo. And I assume that would take you somewhere so that if I wanted to just see more, I assume that if I clicked, I would go there. I have a question for your longer presentations. Make sure that you have something around how do you as Gifty access these MSMEs? Make sure that you really can justify that $2 price point. It seems very low. Great for the market, but I would be worried as an investor whether that is the right price point. And also to the same extent, raising $100,000 for everything. It left me curious to if AI is also helping you build, so you're always going to maintain a low cost base, but that 100 seemed a little low, and be able to justify it, right? I also think that there's a nice market opportunity for you not to go find these SMMEs, but you could partner by white labeling your product to sit on other startups like MarketForce, like Wasoka, those that already have the relationships with these SMEs, which would make your work a little bit lower.
Nice.
And then secondly, I think that you should contact Launch Africa. It's a great business.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Oh, look at that. Cherry on the pie.
Let me rip through some of my feedback again. So look, I'll tell you the stuff I really like. So I like the expertise. I think that like showing that you had done it for a while and having a team, like even though I'm guessing it's probably just the three of you for now, is a good thing. So like showing that you've had that expertise and that you can build these things is good. I think that there are a few things I had like quite a few questions about. So mostly around the money. So 100K for 18 months is not a lot. And I think if I saw that as a VC trying to go for $1 billion outcome, or like, you know, something which can return my fund, which is 20x, maybe that's not $1 billion outcome, but like a 20x, I would think that maybe you're not taking it seriously or taking a proper swing with just 100,000. Because $100,000 should take you to maybe the next milestone, but that is not like 18 months of runway type of money. So I think for me to take it seriously as a VC, I'd want to see like, okay, we're raising more than that so that we can power a team. You know, things go wrong all the time. You know, you spend way longer building stuff than you plan to. You probably experienced this. Like you always want to almost double what you really need. And yeah, and like be able to last the distance. So that's something that I think is, I want to see more of. I also think having a 500,000 SMEs paying $2, like maybe possible in terms of the money side. I think very hard in terms of the distribution side. I was writing up a thing the other day, and I'm pretty sure MoneyPoint last year, which I think is, you know, one of the like the biggest companies in Africa, biggest startups, they have like 900,000 people using MoneyPoint. So you're saying like to get to $1 million in revenue in a few years, you're going to get to half of where they're at. And they took a long time to get there, right? And so it's like, I would want to see exactly how you think about that distribution. That's something I think when it comes to go to market, it's important to show how you'll do that. I like the AI features, and I do think the platform play is really interesting, where you actually just embed rather than go and recreate the platform. So you're working with Boomba. Could be cool. But yeah, that's some of my feedback on it.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. We might need to move to the next one. So Angela, hey.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fine.
You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started.
Let's get
actually, your slides up. Sorry. Too excited. So
Angela, are you presenting your deck, or is he putting it up for you? There we go. Awesome. Just taking a while to load. Got it.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Angela Oluwa, co-founder and CEO at Logistics Hub. At Logistics Hub, we are building a digital platform that will transform manual operations in Africa's last mile delivery sector. One of the major problems we have in Africa is that a lot of logistics companies operate on a very small scale and aggregate deliveries, hence causing late deliveries and damage of perishable goods. So imagine ordering for a cloth from a vendor, and at the end of the day, the cloth comes to you smelling of fish. This is as a result of aggregation in the market. So what we have done at the Logistics Hub is providing access to dedicated on-demand delivery services for businesses, leveraging a pool of assets and professional riders network. So we have provided businesses with high quality delivery services, dedicated delivery solutions for big brands that cannot use the small logistics companies. In the last 2 years, we have achieved a couple of things. We've done over 300,000 deliveries. We've trained and managed over 400 riders. We have also earned a revenue of 350 USD, and we have increased our gross margin by 59%. We've also served a couple of big brands like Cold Stone, So Fresh, Eden Life, Booker Hut, and amongst others in Nigeria. We have a team of deep experience of working with and building different solutions for businesses. We have Adeyemi Adekunle, former lead solutions at Kobo 360. He has come in to bring his expertise and experience in building what we are building. We are raising an additional 150,000 USD. We're raising an additional 150,000 USD to extend our runway and to launch our delivery management system. Our delivery management system is a platform that will enable businesses efficiently run their delivery operations real time. So as businesses and logistics companies, most of the logistics companies in Nigeria operate on a manual scale. So meaning that they have to track their riders, track their deliveries, operate manually using phone calls and text messages and WhatsApp. So what we are providing for the market is a dashboard that enables businesses to manage their deliveries seamlessly. Also, a mobile app for riders that would help them to handle their tasks and route navigation. Also, API integration for businesses with their own websites and apps. So the market is very big. We have over 20,000 logistics companies in Africa, which translates to a 3 billion market opportunity. Our business model is very simple. We have two basic plans. We have two plans. We have the basic plan and we have the business plan. The basic plan enables businesses with deliveries of about 250 in a month, and for the business plan, businesses with over 3,000 deliveries in a month. And for the business plan, we have additional features in it, which is part of it is the multi-store solution. So as a business, for example, as Cold Stone, I have different outlets spread out all over the country. So as a business, I can have a main sub, that's the main admin, and I can have sub admins, which is the other outlets like the Yaba outlets, the Festac outlets, and all of these things. And I can, as a super admin, I can manage all the stores real time and see all the activities in each store.
Angela, we're over time, but yeah, do you want to round out in the next 10 seconds?
Yeah. So at Logistics Hub, we are building a digital platform that would help transform the manual operations in the last mile delivery sector in Africa. Thank you.
That was awesome, and very baller that you just kept going, even though you didn't have slides. That was a really good pitch. Nice work, Angela.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sinead, did you want to go first?
Yeah, good pitch. Founders live with things happen all the time, and you just kept on going. So well done for doing that. I was struggling in the beginning to understand what is exactly this. I thought it was like an aggregation platform, but then also understand that you're actually doing the last mile thing, actually doing the deliveries. And so that opened a whole bunch of questions as to who's funding the motorbikes, for example, and is that part of your business or do you outsource it? So it just opened a can of worms for me that I was looking for it, and it kept me distracted from listening to you. I thought that you needed to expand a little bit on the revenue side, on the client side, like what is the unit economics within the business. I missed the competition because there's a lot of last mile delivery businesses or companies that claim to do last mile delivery. So where do you rank in that sort of subsector? Then I was also thinking around 150. I know you're doing it to do the use of funds, but as an investor, I'm investing in this business, in you as the founder. I wanted to just get a broader sense of what is the investment requirement for this business, and how that will actually be used for. I always tell founders, ask, just not for money, right? Ask for strategic support, for introductions to advisors. It's not only about money. We're getting into bed together for 7 to 10 years. You might as well ask for more. But it's a good business. I think you just need to clarify exactly up front what this business does. Bring it into the first slide.
Yeah. I will agree with everything that Junaid's brought up there. Caleb, you wanted to jump in there?
No, you can go, Lisa.
So, Angela, and thank you for flying the flag for women entrepreneurs. I'm already like in your corner, because I feel as though, you know, like we don't have enough female entrepreneurs, and I'm really happy that you're standing here doing what you're doing. You can see that, you know, you're a technician, right? So you can see that, you know, you're hard in the numbers and you understand your business, which is absolutely in your favor. I think if I was to throw any kind of questions around to you, you could give me the granular details of your business. So you're right in there, and you understand your business from the inside out, and that's evident immediately coming off the bat. Nice, simple slides. That I found was great, like really succinct, really simple within that. I wasn't trying to listen to you and digest what was on the slides at the same time. I was really like able to do both, which was great, because sometimes I just find like with pitches, there's so much going on the slides and there's so much information, it's overwhelming. So the way it was done was really, really good. You didn't read off your slides, which is nice. You don't assume that I can't read, so that's wonderful. Thank you for doing that. Within that, the one thing I wanted was I was looking for the story, right? And I was looking for something that would like draw me in a little bit further than just the numbers. You know, I wanted to understand, like, why does this matter to you as a founder? So I was kind of looking for that hook in there. And then I wanted to know, and I think it was similar to Junaid's point, like, where are you niching? What does your market map look like? And where are you niching? So how are you finding a differentiated position based on what else is out there, so that you understand your market and kind of what's in it, the competition. So just drilling down and then telling me, right, this is where, you know, there's uncompeted market space, and we're going to position here, and here's why. So I was kind of like looking for that within that. But Angela, like, you know, kudos to you, even just to carry on. Slides were down, you were there. Immediately that speaks to me, saying there's resilience, there's tenacity here, that there's a jockey that's done this for a while and understands that this is just how it goes, and you can roll with the punches.
Yeah. I also got that vibe too, especially like when it just stopped working. You're like, all right, we'll just do this. And yeah, I also think that's like kind of necessary. Last mile is a really hard space. So it's cool that you're tackling it and that you've built something that's working and is making money. It's like awesome to see that. Some of the things I really liked was that you, I think the team's strong. Like having someone from Kobo, yourself, your ops guy as well. And I forgot there was someone else there, but that's really strong. And I think it speaks to like, you built the right team. Seems like you built the right team for what you're building, which is awesome. I would have liked to hear a bit more about your story and how you ended up doing this. I do know, but like, I think you sharing that would have helped as well. And then I think that I think you also spoke about the market quite well too, like Sumunza from Leroy's pitch, who was saying we need to explain our reality. I feel like you did that well. You're explaining that last mile is done by SMS and text. You're going to centralize that through this delivery management system. I think that was really good. Like really really great articulation of what you're doing. And also talking about the market opportunity. Some of the things that I think you need, like I would suggest you do, is last mile isn't having a good time. Like it's a really rough like space to play in. A lot of last mile companies aren't doing very well. Like they might have raised a lot of money, but they're not doing well. And so I think you need to explain like why last mile sucks, basically, and like why you're different. And prove that as well. I think you need to show how that works. And I think unit economics can be a big part of that. And you actually have solid unit economics, so it would flex that a bit more, like 350K revenue without raising much, you know, and sort of bootstrapping a lot of this beforehand is a really good story to tell. So I think explaining that. And then I think also just talking a bit more about like why a delivery management system makes sense, and also how you're going to distribute that, because everyone's going to build a product, right? Anyone can kind of build that if they bring the right team together, but how do you distribute? I think the go-to-market on that side, I would have really liked to see. But yeah, otherwise I thought it was a really good pitch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well done, Angelo. Well done.
Let's get Abby up here.
Last one.
So good.
Last but not least, Abiola.
All right, cool. Can you see my screen? I don't know if you can see my screen. I'm trying to.
You just need to present, and then there we go. It's starting to come up now. I'll tell you when it's up.
I've had to.
Yeah, we got it.
I've had to do it this way. So 1 second. Let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. Zoom. That's it. Okay, cool. Is it a bit bigger? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, yeah. So hi. Yeah. My name is Abiola Shogbeni, and I'm going to be talking about Shiga Digital. So Shiga Digital is connecting Africa to global liquidity through DeFi. So who are we? So we as a company, we are an OTC desk in its origin. So using WhatsApp and different decentralized applications to facilitate various different transactions and crypto and DeFi solutions for our customer base. Currently, we are building a software solution that overlays our infrastructure that we've facilitated through OTC. Our vision is to be the preferred platform for Africans and African diaspora that look to seek access into financial solutions and provide a holistic solution for these customers to access DeFi, and then DeFi platforms to meet customers. So we work between the two. Our team consists of myself. I come from a capital markets background, so financial services, work with a few of the largest banks in the world as a product manager. We have Dami, who's my co-founder, who's predominantly based in Lagos, works in the oil and gas sector. We have Kumbi, who's also in the blockchain space, but comes from a payments background. And we have Hannibal Etomi, who leads the digital asset division at GEP Law, which is one of the biggest law firms in Africa. The problem that we're trying to solve is inefficiency, sector fragmentation, and user experience in financial services. So essentially, in DeFi, it's very fractured at the moment and very inefficient. So there's a lot of slippage. There's a lack of access to efficient liquidity at the good rates. The sector's fragmented. You have specific firms building specific solutions for different problems, but as a customer, you want access to a holistic view and a holistic set of solutions in one place. The last thing is user experience. To get more users into DeFi, the experience needs to be easy. The whole premise of the blockchain is for you to be able to make financial decisions for yourself and for you to be able to access it from any spot. So whether that be email or a mobile phone number. So this is how we intend to solve the problem. So you have the customer, which is your Web3 identity, and you have Shiga in the middle, and you have all of these different participants. And Shiga basically solves the problem of interoperability by filtering out, the useful solutions versus not useful solutions, partnering with DeFi protocols, and providing solutions that solve real world problems for our customer base. This is our product that we've built to solve this problem on top of our OTC desk, which is a simple decentralized application. As you can see, we've got a user dashboard here, which is pretty simple. It's just a wallet infrastructure that allows you to do two functions, which is deposit, which means essentially sending digital assets to your wallet, or using your local currency across 18 different countries across Africa. And then withdraw, which basically means send your digital assets out, or put in a bank account to swap your digital assets for seamlessly, which is one of our unique value propositions. I don't think there's anybody else in the market that can do that or has the ability to do that today. Why now? So the why now? The market opportunity is there. We believe it's the right time, because DeFi has gone through various cycles. It's been iterated. There's been a lot of mistakes, and a lot of customers have learned. A lot of builders have learned from previous issues in the space, and the space is growing. Customers are inherently
30 seconds left. Sorry,
okay, cool. Customers are inherently entering the space themselves, but there's no real market leader. So our target market is Web3 wallet holders, African domiciled individuals, multinational corporations, and African diaspora. So the market that we're trying to address is pretty big. Globally, there's 420 million crypto users, and in Nigeria, there's 33 million, and we are just trying to get 6.1 million of these, which is a share of the market of $1 billion. So to date, this year we've done $10 million worth of transaction volume. With the major markets which we've serviced are Nigeria, China, USA, Ghana. As you can see, we've helped a lot of FX agents who traditionally move money and move funds for customers. We've got other crypto native firms using our service, big players in the space. And then also we've got, from a traction standpoint, we've got other crypto native firms who want to partner with us so we can bring more DeFi users to their protocols. So like the likes of Fonbank, which is the mobile money crypto company. Mobile money, we've got farmers associations in Nigeria. There's 130 million farmers in Nigeria. They have contacted us to see how we can use our service to service their customers in that region. This is our roadmap. And yeah, we're raising $1 to $1.5 million at the moment. We've been bootstrapped to date, and we're raising this money to basically invest in our technology to get some adequate licenses so we can mitigate the risk on partnerships, and then to build out our team.
Cool,
Thank you for your time.
Nice one.
Sorry,
that was a strong one to finish with. Nice one, Abby.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe I'll kick off because I have a bit less feedback. My internet dropped partway through. But I guess I think that what you've done to date is really impressive, right? Like that's a lot of transaction volume. Fund banks are like pretty important startup, like prolific one. There's, like VCs referring you to their portfolio. I think that component of what you build is really cool. And the fact that you bootstrapped is a bit of a story that I feel like you could have touched a bit more on like how you built it, how you were efficient in building it, and how that's powered everything so far. I would definitely lean into that. So I really like that part. And then I think that the team also seemed quite strong too. And the opportunity, like tapping into, using essentially like crypto to solve some of these problems is a really big, a lot of people are looking at that. I think in general though, like what I wasn't sure about. So generally, I think the deck had way too much text on it, especially at the start. I wouldn't read that. And you probably wouldn't speak that either, right? Like you would speak a bit more concisely. I think maybe in some cases where you're talking about a product which I don't know that I fully understand, having an equivalent or an analog really helps. So having it's not, obviously you can't have a direct copy of a Brex in Africa, for instance, but you could say we're a bit like Binance in Africa. Maybe that's probably not the right application, but do you know what I'm saying here? Where I'm saying you make it really easy for people to understand what you're doing because what you're explaining is pretty complex. And then maybe a bit further on that point, maybe you don't like that level of depth. I find that when it comes to Web3 and crypto, like there's a lot of depth in the engineering side. I don't know that that's always like necessary if you're pitching to, you know, just like non like Web3 investors. So having like kind of a dumbed down version is something I've seen Web3 or like crypto startups do, which is like, this is just layman's terms out of like the, like, you know, all the like the tech stack, etc. And this is how I'd explain what I'm doing. But overall, it was good.
Thank you.
Junaid?
I'll go next. Great business. I love DeFi. I think it's going to change the face of Africa. So you're really a pioneer in many ways. I want to reiterate some things that Caleb said. I think that it's a good business. You totally get it, but it was the wrong 3-minute pitch deck. So you have to customize for your audience again. I love the bootstrapping idea. You really need to stress that a lot, but you also then have to put yourself in a VC to say, okay, well, you know, 1.5, what are you actually going to do? Or can you actually just run this business bootstrapping it away? You have to like do that VC leap jump for us. Because in a way you could just organically grow a very successful business and keep the equity in your hands. So your ask needs to be very specific, and it's probably your pool of VCs are quite narrow than just generalist VCs in Africa, right? Have a use case. To Caleb's point about dumbing it down, have a use case for people like me, so that, you know, you caught my attention when you said that farming association. I was like, yes, of course. You know, there's a use case for that. So maybe as you customize for your audiences, have a dumbed down version. Education is a big part of the work that you're going to do. Your crypto is new in Africa, DeFi, all of this, Web3 is new. So you have to bring in a sort of a purpose-driven education drive, right? Make it one of your projects, right? It doesn't have to be linked to your business, but you want to be seen as the guy pioneering the way, and I think education is the way. And you missed the unit in economics. As an investor, I was like, yeah, but how much money do you weigh? You spoke about what I would term your GMV, but what is the net revenue, right? What is your margin, right? And you completely missed out. And you said that there's no competitors, but there are probably people doing the same. So just bring positioning as with a previous tech position where your niche is in the market.
I think that was, you stole all my feedback, Junaid. Whereas like I wanted that customer walkthrough, like I wanted a walkthrough as though I was the customer and what my experience would be. So to actually like experience it is exactly what you want, that use case, to be able to see that like an example of it. I think you need to run this a few more times. That's the feeling that I got. Like it must come naturally to you. You know, it still felt a little bit like it was, you know, a little bit jilted in that. So maybe you just need to run it a few more times. And in terms of structuring, lead with the problem. Okay, you led with the team, or you led with the solution, and then you led with the team. Lead with the problem. Okay, so start with that, and then go into problem, solution, market size, team underneath that. So just structure it slightly differently. So, and it tells a story in itself, right? So this is the problem. This is how we're solving it. Okay, this is who we're solving it for, and this is the execution team that can deliver that solution. So that kind of flow would work better in order to keep me and my understanding of the business going through. And then like just be careful of the jargon within that. Like I don't know what slippage is within that. So I'm not squarely in the space. You guys are, and you need to kind of bring me along with you without making me feel dumb that I don't know what's going on. Okay. But Abiola, you know that I'm a huge fan of Shiga, and you know, Raze has walked with you on a certain journey up to this point, and I'm so excited to see how this business grows. I'm so invested just as a human in this business, and in you as a founder, and to see how this business develops. So thank you, and thank you for putting yourself on the spot for us.
Yeah, and I would say send me your deck, because there are one or two angel investors in that space that I think would be interested in what you're doing.
So good.
Amazing. Awesome.
Great job, Abby. Here's what we're going to do next. So I think I would love to get all of the participants on the call, like as we can like bring them back to the screen. So
Bring them
everyone
back?
who's pitched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ozzy, can you do that? Let's see if we can.
Yeah, or as Ozzy does that. What I'd love to do is I'd love to ask everyone who pitched, what was your biggest like takeaway from that? Like, what was one thing you think you want to take away and that you'll improve your work on within your pitch deck? And at the same time, I want to ask everyone in the comments, like, what was the one thing you learned from this session? Like, what's one thing that you were really surprised by, or that you found was consistent through the session? One takeaway that you'll leave the session with.
Yeah. And maybe we can ask people in the chat as well.
Yeah, sorry, that was for the chat. Yeah, so like the chat and also the folks who pitched. Yeah, we'll do both.
Okay.
Can we get Anjola, Akpan, and Leroy back if they're still here?
Let's see if we can. I don't know if they've left already. They've left backstage.
I have that. We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. Nice. As we just wait for people to like write up what they learned, or like what they took away from that, maybe it's a chance for us to talk about. Should we talk about Equity Clinic?
We can. Absolutely.
Okay. Talk about Equity Clinic.
So this is, pitching is just one of the ways that you unlock investment. It's one of the keys that you use. But so many founders, when they arrive, they've got their pitch deck down, but they don't have the other keys that they need in order to unlock that. And that's where the Equity Clinic comes in. And so Raise is doing this alongside, Launch Africa, who have invested in Raise as well, and Tech Safari, in order to help startup founders unlock that investment in a quicker cycle. So Raise has an equity clinic, and we're inviting everyone who's trying to raise investment, don't know where to start, or don't know what you're doing wrong or why you're not doing it, to go through a process called an equity clinic. And it's everything from to double click into your financials, how it's structured, into your legal infrastructure, into your compliance, so that you've really got a solid framework on which to grow. And at the end of your equity clinic, you're going to get a really heavy report on where are the gaps in your business that you might not have spotted, and what you can do and interventions that you can do in order to fill those gaps in your business, so that you are stepping into the arena of an investment cycle, and you've got all of those keys with which to unlock investment. And that's what an equity clinic is going to do. So Raise has got a special offer. There's a 10% discount for any of our Tech Safari loyal followers that come to us. You're welcome to join us in an equity clinic cycle. The team will take you through it, and there is a link at the bottom. You can see it on the screen. So join us, guys, at Raise, and let's hope we can unlock and help you unlock those doors to investment just beyond having a really good pitch.
Awesome. And I might, just before we dive into what people took away from this, Abby, you've done Equity Clinic, or you've been a part of it, right? Do you want to share a bit on how you found it, just a sentence or two,
I can. So yeah, I'm one of the people that's more focused on just building. So the Equity Clinic kind of really helped me focus on the other side, which is also important, and kind of broke down things I was aware of, but more formally. So it really made me focus on that, and it's led on to doing other key things, to just get the business more robust and investable. I guess, and just give me peace of mind that we've taken the right steps, because obviously we're first stage, so you want to take the right steps as you grow to not hinder that growth. So yeah, it's been really useful for me, and I actually got it from one of the other sessions you did. I can't remember what it was called, but it was from one of the other sessions you did that I joined it. So yeah.
Awesome. So good. Okay, cool. Great. Let's dive in. Let's hear it, guys. Leroy, what's one thing that you took away from, like the biggest thing you took away from that feedback we gave?
The first one, it's on a lighter moment. 3 minutes isn't as easy as you think it is. But yeah, so yeah, but I would like to take like Junaid's feedback on, you say it upfront, so that you hook them in. And also don't assume people understand what you are building or what you're experiencing. So put more effort into breaking down the challenges that you have, and also have a clear step-by-step plan on how you are putting a solution to solve that problem. Yeah, thank you so much, Junaid, and also thank you so much for Lisa for your feedback. It was more encouraging, so good feelings after.
So the biggest takeaway seems to be like, okay, it's like breaking down the problems and the solution, so it's easier to understand for investors. Awesome. Akpan, how about you?
Right, thank you. I have 3. So the first is that our revenue, the subscription is too low, $2 is too low. And then the second is our ask is also too low, 100K. And then I also took note of the fact that we could actually build a white labeling product. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Junaid, for the feedback.
Angela, how about you?
Yeah, my take from this is adding a personal touch to the story, how it has affected me, and how I've been able to survive from when we started, and how we have evolved as a business all up to now, starting from being heavy on operations to being evolving into a light asset-driven company. So that's really telling that story, how it has the evolving story, how it has evolved from where we started from to 3 years ago, and where we are going.
Great.
So good. It's a great learning. And Abby, how about you?
Just being a bit more organized with the direction of the presentation, making it a lot more easier to understand, and yeah, just being a bit more clearer in certain things. So there's a lot which I've written down. So yeah.
Nice. Good stuff. Okay, cool. And yeah, Junaid and Lisa, how about you? What did you both take away from this? Like, what was interesting to you, or what was an insight you both gathered from this?
Junaid, you first.
African founders completely amaze me, solving real world problems. Continue doing that. This is what is going to set our continent apart. You are all solving fantastic problems, whether it's DeFi to energy. This is what makes us great entrepreneurs. We see things on our doorstep, and we solve for it. Well, one insight that I'm taking up, because I'm always pitching myself as well, is this idea of use cases. I think I've lost it, but make it relatable to people, right? And dumb it down a little, because you don't know who the audience is, but everyone can relate to the example that we had with Alice, right? Everybody walked away thinking Alice is a warm person. I want to do something with Alice, right? So use cases is something that I'll bring more into my own pitches.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I like that. Lisa.
The takeaway for me was, guys, I mean, we don't live in the most startup friendly environments in Africa, right? The re-entry rate for entrepreneurs in Africa is 1. And I just want to stand behind you and say, like, we're here to support. Like, we want to make you the best version of who you can be within this. And the way that you took feedback, the way that you absorbed it, the way that you've responded immediately, Abby showing us his notes that he's taken, all of those things just make me so confident in the fact that your businesses in this form or another form, you guys are going to be successful. In what you're doing, and the fact that you've stepped up to this challenge, you've adopted, the resilience and the tenacity. Angela, you just did it right there and then in the moment. And I just wanted to say, like, it just makes me so hopeful for our startup community, seeing how you guys have brought it today. And please reach out. Please reach out to us, even though Junaid's got 900 unread messages in his LinkedIn mailbox. You might be number 901 in that. But to our audience, as well as the people here, our massive transformative purpose is to take you from launch to liquidity. And we want to see you through that entire journey. So please keep us updated as to what's happening in your businesses.
Yeah, and all four of you, please contact me, because I already wrote down notes on how I can help you, all of you. Even the energy guy, I've got some European investors that I would introduce you to.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love that, Janet. Thank you.
So cool. Okay, so thanks so much, guys. This is a lot of fun. I think that the audience also liked it. Some of the things we heard on the takeaways were that, let's see, pitching your story is more impactful. Less can be more was another takeaway from Dami. Customizing for different audiences. Asking for more than money. That's actually, I really like that one as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Ask for support. Ask for like what you can get out of it. Having a story, solution, and exchange of value. The use case came up as well. Let's see. Ask for introductions, not just money. Someone in caps, like, emphasize a simple, resonating use case. That's, big one. Confidence was one that came up as well. And I think those are the main takeaways. I think on my side, one of the things that I took away from that was, I was just super impressed by all four of you. I thought they were awesome pitches, and you guys are like really onto something. You've all got traction. You've all you know how to pitch. I really like that. I think that there's something there around like the idea of storytelling. Like, I really liked how Leroy did it, and I think that there's a lot of people say it's an art, but I think it can be a science too. And so I'm now thinking about, like, how do we teach that science to more founders? The idea of storytelling and incorporating that into pitching. I'd love to see more of that. So awesome. Thanks so much, team. I think that's a wrap. That's where we'll round off. Thank you so much for attending.
Thanks, Caleb and Lisa, for all the work you do. Caleb, especially, you do so much for the ecosystem. Lisa, for what you do to startups. Thank you for your energy that you bring every single day to us.
Yeah.
So good to have you as a guest, Junaid. Definitely not the last time.
No, we're not letting you go. You're in.
You're one of us now.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.